Here we are together. Hi, New Year's Eve 2008. Happy New Year. All right, now give me one.
Wes's attitude from the very beginning was that he was going to work hard and he was going to overcome this.
Never once has he ever asked or said, why did this have to happen to me? He's never, ever felt sorry for himself.
It really is a story about learning to put one foot in front of the other, day after day after day.
It was almost impossible for me not to keep going. I didn't really even think about it. It was just, what's the next thing I do today? I had the stroke December 11th of 2008, and that's been about 10 months. Everything started just ringing and spinning, and next thing I knew, about an hour later, I couldn't even move or anything.
He was having trouble communicating, and at that point we decided we needed to call 911.
The doctor told us that it was very serious, that it was life-threatening.
They had taken a picture of his brain. He had a blood clot.
And he said that there was a procedure that needed to be done very quickly because there was a time frame that after that time frame, it wouldn't be helpful.
I still remember he said, we'll give you 10 minutes to decide what you want to do. And my wife and I just both looked at one another basically and said, we don't need 10 minutes. Let's sign for the procedure and let's let you do it.
They weren't sure if he was going to make it through the night, and I remember talking to him, and at this time, he really couldn't use his hands or his had any feeling. He would use his eyes to communicate yes or no. And after I talked to him for a little while, I squeezed his hand, and I was just looking down into his hand, and I remember he was able to squeeze mine back, and that was sort of a sign to me that he was going to fight his way back. All right, here's Wes, the day before he leaves for the Shepherd Center.
When we first met Wes, he was on oxygen. He could barely hold his head up. He would get fatigued so quickly. He needed lots of rest breaks.
He could not eat anything. He couldn't move.
I remember this one day where he had some visitors and friends in the room, and he just couldn't get out Merry Christmas. Now, would you like to finally say Merry Christmas?
Merry Christmas.
All right, and show us the $1 million smile.
The hardest part was not being able to talk or communicate and just laying there. I couldn't tell anybody how I was feeling or ask anybody how they were doing, and I was just laying there. So once I could start speaking, and that was great.
When you see somebody that wants to fight, but they can't hold their head up, you want them to be able to hold their head up, to be able to look ahead and be able to look forward.
It's just very important to realize, you're not gonna walk like that. You're gonna be in a harness, and then you're gonna be walking on a treadmill, and then eventually you'll be walking on your own. Shepherd is so good about helping you to set goals and realize that life is about moving from one step to the other again.
The bridge people started coming over on a weekly basis and have been for several months now.
The Bridge program is designed to help patients and families transition from a hospital environment to a home environment.
We service the patients after they've been discharged from Shepherd Center and going out to see them in their homes. We did a lot of checkoffs with having him cook in the kitchen, going to the grocery store, making sure that he can get into a store and get what he needs and come out safely.
And I think the biggest thing is that he's motivated. He knows where he wants to be, he sets goals, and he does everything in his power to reach them.
Even when he was still in a wheelchair. He set a goal that he wanted to run the Peachtree Road Race. And I remember the day he told me he wanted to do that. You know, the last thing you want to do is discourage someone, especially someone that's taking it one step at a time every day. But, you know, we said sure, so I signed him up on it. I mean, he couldn't even write at the time, so we signed him up for the application and actually had a chance to run the Peachtree Road Race with him. And even then, he was already talking about doing something bigger and better and greater.
It's a miracle, really. 'Cause
Yeah.
like I said, what you happened to you, a lot of people don't survive. And look at you.
Yeah, I've been so lucky to
Yeah.
come in here and be able to recover how I have. It's
Right.
been great.
The more he became involved in Shepherd Center through the volunteering and was a beneficiary of the Bridge program, he decided that he could put his physical abilities and his story to work and help hopefully raise some money to keep that program endowed and to keep it moving forward so that other people have the same benefits of recovery that he has.
The Atlanta Half Marathon and Marathon, which is on Thanksgiving Day, and you know, I'm running it. Part of it is to symbolize how thankful I am for all the help I've had along the road to my recovery. I'm trying to raise money for the Bridge program to give them thanks.
To see him today training for this marathon with his shoulders back and his head held up high, it's really symbolic of how far he's come and how courageous he's been in this journey and how hard he's worked to get his life back.
Never in my wildest dreams back then, when I couldn't even walk, did I think I'd be running a half marathon. And I have so much to be thankful for. I've been so blessed by God and all the family and friends I've had support from, and from the Shepherd Center. I'm just so thankful, and this is just perfect. I get to run this race on Thanksgiving Day.